Do they call them a board game because you play them on a board, or because they're very boring? Maybe it's a little bit of both. Today we're going to look back at the vintage Star Wars board games. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with a whole new video. Today we're going to talk about vintage Star Wars board games. Now we're only going to look at games released in the US. There were a lot of other board games in Canada, Europe, Japan. You name a country, they had their own line of board games. Some of them the same, some of them a lot different. But I didn't want to do a whole 2-hour video about board games because I did a video all about one board game, the Mad Magazine board game, and most people didn't even watch it. We're only going to look back at the old US released board games. Now, as always, if you want to help support this site, click on that link up there. There's another one in the description. I really need your support. It really helps this channel better. You know all this. You're probably sick of hearing it. And if you want to buy some cool t-shirts, go to thatjunkman.com. Let's move on and talk about board games.
Oh boy! I've reached Millennium Falcon. The Force is with you.
You too can play the space fantasy Star Wars game Escape from Death Star. Be the first to help Luke and Leia, Han Solo, and Chewbacca escape from the garbage dump and reach the safe Rebel base. The Force can also be against you.
Back to the trash compactor.
You spin to get past TIE fighters.
I win! All right!
Escape from Death Star. It comes complete with everything you see here. New from Kenner, from the Star Wars collection.
Kenner released Star Wars board games before they even released Star Wars action figures. As you know, the figures didn't come out until 1978, but a board game was easier to produce and get out on the market. So the Star Wars board games was some of the first Star Wars merchandise you could buy. So let's look back at the board games of 1977. First up, we have The Adventures of R2-D2. What a name. According to the back of the box, you get to experience the adventures of R2-D2, the true hero of the rebellion. Players take turns spinning and moving R2-D2 to the next colored circle along the adventure path. Watch out for that purple adventure circle. That sends you backwards. And try to get the white adventure circle to move forward. The first ones to return to the Rebel base on Yavin 4 after destroying the Death Star wins. Up next we have Star Wars Destroy the Death Star game. A Star Wars based game in which you command a squadron of 3 X-Wing fighters and try to drop torpedoes down the ventilation shaft of the Death Star before it can destroy Yavin 4. A spinner directs the movement and determines the result of the battles. Darth Vader himself can pop up to cause trouble, but watch for the Millennium Falcon to come to the rescue. That's it, you could be Luke Skywalker trying to destroy the Death Star. But wait, before you destroy the Death Star, you have to escape the Death Star. And this is probably the most popular board game of all of them, the Escape from Death Star board game. A lot of kids growing up in the late 70s had this game. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Chewbacca are trapped in the Death Star's trash compactor. It's your challenge to help them escape to the freedom of the Rebel base. R2 spins out your moves, but you must decide what passageway to follow. The safe way is the long way, and time is running out. You must turn off the tractor beam and pick up a pair of secret plans. Will you take shortcuts that risk encounters with the Force? You will if you're daring, and could be the first to board the Millennium Falcon. Fight your way through TIE fighters to reach the Rebel base and win the game. This is about the only game on here that I actually played as a child, and I'll be honest with you, even back then it was pretty boring. But a lot of board games I had was pretty boring. This one, my Raiders of the Lost Ark board game, my Mr. T board game, they were all boring. Why? Well, mostly nobody would play board games with me, so I ended up playing them with myself. I don't know about you, but playing a board game made for 2 to 4 players is not very fun by yourself at all. First up, the Parker Brothers, The Ultimate Space Adventure. This box here has some great artwork. You and your opponents are commanders of the Rebel Alliance. The remote ice planet Hoth has been your base since you escaped from the forces of the Empire. But wait! The Empire has sent probes into the far reaches of the galaxy, and your position has been revealed. And even now, an Imperial TIE fighter commanded by the evil Darth Vader is invading planet Hoth's atmosphere. To escape, you must pilot your X-Wing fighter and journey to the unknown planet of Dagobah. One, and one only, rebel fighter can complete the journey. Will it be you? Of course it will be me, because I'm playing by myself. We're back on Hoth with the game Hoth Ice Planet Adventure.
Boba Fett's on my trail. Gotta jump to hyperspace.
From Kenner's Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back collection, new Hoth Ice Planet Adventure game. When your Millennium Falcon lands on an Imperial villain's battle square, you bet your force cards.
Lost it.
But if you win 10 cards, you're ready for the final battle.
Look out, Darth. The Force wins again.
Hoth Ice Planet Adventure game comes with everything you see here. From Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back collection, new from Kenner.
Be the first player to acquire enough force to battle and defeat Darth Vader. Spin to pilot your Millennium Falcon around Hoth. There are incidents along the way, and battle for force cards with Imperial villains. Plan your strategy by waging force cards and spinning against Boba Fett, Stormtroopers, Probe Droids, and AT-ATs. Once you have enough force, you can enter the center of the board and challenge Darth Vader. First player to master the Force and successfully outspin Darth Vader wins. You're not a true Jedi until you can outspin Darth Vader. Next up, we leave Hoth for the Yoda the Jedi Master board game. Be the first player to become a Jedi Knight, defeat the dark side of the Force, and win. Travel to the Dagobah system where Yoda, an ancient Jedi Master, will teach you the ways of the Force. Acquire Jedi merit as you successfully accomplish the difficult task and trails Yoda set for your training. Once you obtain significant merit as a Jedi, enter the Jedi Circle and outspin the dark side of the Force to win. Well, that's a look at the Empire Strikes Back games. Again, we got 3 here, like we did for the Star Wars movies. And for Return of the Jedi, we only got 1 board game based on that film. And it's probably the coolest board game out of all these. Now, I'm not saying it's some great fun game to play, but it looks awesome. In fact, I picked one of these up in a flea market in the early 90s. Sadly, I can't remember what I did with it. I probably sold it or traded it at my local comic book store for some Star Wars figurines. The Return of the Jedi Battle at Sarlacc's Pit. Your favorite Star Wars heroes need your help. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia Organa, Han Solo, and Chewbacca are Hey, what about Lando? Anyway, they are being held captured by the evil Jabba the Hutt. They're on his sail barge, high above the dangerous sand pit where the monster Sarlacc lives. To escape, you must defeat the Gamorrean guards, and the powerful Nikto, and Boba Fett. This is the only time Nikto's been referred to as the powerful, and push them overboard into Sarlacc's waiting jaws. Collect Jedi points for each guard you defeat. Then try to overpower Jabba the Hutt. The one with the most Jedi points at the end of the game is the winner. Now again, this game just looks awesome. It's a 3D board game, as you probably saw from the photos, and it came with little miniature figures you could stand up. It's the closest thing we got to a Sarlacc pit playset. I didn't know about this as a kid, but if I did, I sure would have put my action figures on that sail barge and let them fall into the pit below. Now, we did get 2 other games released on the Return of the Jedi header, but they're Ewok games and not really based on the film itself. First up, we have Wicked the Ewok. This is a very simple kiddie game where you go around collecting berries, nuts, pears, and put them in an old wagon. This is for the youngest of kids to play. And the other Ewok game, Save the Trees. The Star Wars track game takes place on a 3D game board depicting the Forest of Endor. To move, you either turn one of your 2 dials and check the window next to it. If it shows a color, move ahead to the next empty space of that color. If you get a hole, you must open and close either of the 2 secret doors to block and unblock the path, and then dial again. If your path is blocked by fog or by a secret door, you must move backwards to the color of the dial. Sometimes when you dial, you'll open up 1 or more mud holes. Players falling into the mud hole must move back 2 spaces. The first player to reach the top step of the treehouse and enter the door, which you must dial to open, warns the village elders of the monster assault, and you win the game. This is the Kid Ewok game, and it sounds like the most complicated of all these Star Wars games, doesn't it? At least it's the longest description on the back of the box. Anyway, believe it or not, that's all the US released board games related to Star Wars that got released. Which one did you have? Let me know in the comments below, and I bet a lot of you had Escape from the Death Star. With all the talk of the re-release of that game, along with the Tarkin action figure, I thought it was a nice time to go back and look at some of these board games. Again, in the comments below, let me know what game you had. Was it fun? Did you enjoy playing it? Did anyone play on with you? Anyway, until next time, we'll be back with a whole new video.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.